Number 1. The silent assassin of your dreams. You ever find yourself right on the edge of something great, and then, suddenly, it all falls apart? Maybe you delay the final step. Maybe you start over from scratch. Maybe you walk away, convinced it wasn't the right time. But deep down, you know is fear, self-doubt, or worse you. The truth is, most people don't fail because they weren't smart enough, or talented enough, or ready enough. They fail because of something far more subtle, something that hides in plain sight, and kills your momentum when no one is looking. Self-sabotage. It's not loud. It doesn't come with warning signs. It whispers, and it usually sounds a lot like reason. It's not the right time. You're not like those people. Maybe after one more course, one more book, one more day. This voice is the silent assassin of your dreams, and it's been living rent-free in your head. But here's the part that stings. It doesn't break you. You break you. Just like the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Self-sabotage isn't just about missed opportunities. It's about being enslaved by the version of yourself that's too afraid to grow. And if you don't face it, it'll steal every future you were meant to live. Number 2, you're not lazy, you're afraid. Let's clear something up right now. You're not lazy. That thing you call procrastination. It's not you being careless or unmotivated. It's fear wearing a hoodie labeled, "I'll do it tomorrow." Fear of judgment. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of what success might actually demand from you. Think about it. Why do you keep putting off the gym, even though you want to feel better? Why do you delay launching that business, even though the idea excites you? Why do you keep dimming your light in rooms where you should be shining? Because taking action risks exposure, and exposure risks rejection. And rejection feels like death to your ego. That's why your brain finds clever ways to protect you. You don't have time. You're too tired. You'll fail anyway. These lies aren't laziness. They're a survival instinct gone rogue. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you see your avoidance for what it truly is, emotional armor, you begin to peel it off. You start to realize that the thing you're afraid of isn't the work itself. It's the weight of who you might have to become once you start winning. Here's the truth. You're not lazy. You're scared of leveling up. Because when you grow, you can no longer hide behind the old version of yourself. You can't blame the world. You can't blame timing. You can't blame luck. You'll have to own your greatness, and that's terrifying if you've only ever known your smallness. But if you don't face this fear, it will disguise itself as comfort. And that comfort will slowly rot your ambition from the inside out. Number 3, the comfort of familiar pain. Here's a strange truth most people never admit. Sometimes we don't sabotage ourselves because we want to fail. We sabotage ourselves because failure is familiar. And familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar success. Let me explain. You've probably heard someone say, "I don't deserve this," or "It's too good to be true." That's not humility. That's an identity conflict. Because if you've spent years feeling not good enough, unnoticed, or broken, then deep down, success feels like a lie. You start attracting relationships, jobs, and habits that match the story you believe about yourself. And the moment something better comes along, you self-destruct. Why? Because growth feels threatening to your old identity. It's not the outcome you fear. It's the version of you who would have to receive it. Think about how many people push away healthy relationships because they're too boring. Quit right before they break through because it's not working. Go back to toxic habits because at least it's predictable. That's not stupidity. That's emotional muscle memory. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are soaked in shame, self-doubt, or learned helplessness, then you'll keep recreating environments that echo those emotions, even if they hurt. Because to the unconscious mind, familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar healing. So how do you break this cycle? You challenge the belief that says, "This is all I'll ever be." You confront the voice whispering, "Success is for other people, not me." And you start feeding your mind new evidence. Tiny wins. Small acts of courage. Moments where you don't give in to sabotage. Because success is not about motivation. It's about safety. And until you teach your nervous system that success is safe, you'll keep pulling yourself back to the pit you were raised in. Number 4, why we fear being seen. Have you ever wondered why so many of us want success, but hide the moment we get attention? You dream of being recognized, appreciated, respected. Yet the moment someone notices your light, you dim it. Why? Because deep down, being seen feels dangerous. Let's go back, way back, to childhood. Maybe you were the kid who got laughed at for trying. The one who spoke up in class and got shut down. Or the one who was told, don't brag, stay humble, or you're too much. You learned that attention equals judgment. That visibility invites criticism. That being too good makes you a target. And over time, your brain made a quiet equation. Seen equals unsafe. So even as an adult, every time you step forward, you feel the urge to shrink back. You procrastinate on launching that project. You water down your opinions to fit in. You dress smaller, speak softer, dream safer. It's not because you lack drive. It's because you fear exposure. And in many ways, that fear makes sense. Because the moment you're seen, you risk being misunderstood. The moment you shine, someone might try to dim you. But here's the truth that Marcus Aurelius knew centuries ago. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke. Being seen isn't the problem. Your interpretation of it is. Your old story tells you that attention will get you hurt. But your new story, your empowered self, knows that being seen is the first step toward being truly known. You cannot change the world by hiding. You cannot live a life of purpose while staying invisible. So the next time you feel like shrinking, remind yourself, this is not danger, it's discomfort. And I can survive discomfort. Practice being seen in small ways. Speak up in a meeting. Post your thoughts without filtering them. Wear the outfit you love, even if it draws attention. Each time you allow yourself to be visible, you rewire the narrative. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from showing up fully, even when your voice shakes. Number 5, the egos need to be right. There's a quiet, invisible saboteur living in your mind. It doesn't shout, it doesn't scream, but it ruins relationships, stalls progress, and poisons success. It's your egos need to always be right. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed because you couldn't admit you were wrong? How many connections have been strained because you needed the last word? How many ideas did you reject because they didn't come from you? The ego feeds on certainty. It clings to the illusion that being right equals being strong, being smart, being safe. But here's what the Stoics knew, and what most of us forget. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Epictetus, when your ego insists on being right, you close yourself off to growth. You trade truth for pride. You choose being certain over being better. And this is how we sabotage our own evolution. Imagine this. You've built a belief about yourself that you're not creative, not a people person, or bad with money. And the moment life gives you a chance to grow in that area, you reject it. Because if you succeed, it contradicts your ego's identity. And the ego doesn't want transformation. It wants consistency. So instead of rising, you repeat. Instead of evolving, you explain. Here's the shift. True strength isn't found in being right. It's found in being willing to be wrong, so you can become more right over time. Want to stop sabotaging your own success? Let go of needing to win every argument. Start asking, what if I'm wrong? And what could I learn if I am? Success isn't a result of never being wrong. It's the result of being humble enough to admit it and wise enough to grow from it. Remember this, the wise are curious. The confident are teachable. The successful are always learning. Drop the need to be right. Pick up the need to become better. Your ego will resist, but your future self will thank you. Number 6, the addiction to struggle. We've romanticized the grind, the chaos, the hustle that never sleeps. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We say things like, I'm so busy, or I'm grinding 24/7, as if that's proof we're moving forward. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Struggle can become an identity. And when it does, you'll sabotage anything that threatens to take it away. Let me explain. When you've lived most of your life in survival mode, constantly fighting, hustling, proving, you start to associate struggle with purpose. You feel most alive when you're fixing, chasing, or saving something. So what happens when things finally start working? When a job is stable, when a relationship is healthy, when success is within reach, you feel uneasy, almost bored, like something's missing. That's because part of you doesn't know who you are without the struggle. It's the psychological equivalent of Stockholm Syndrome. You've become attached to the chaos, even though it's been hurting you all along. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned about this. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And that's the trap. When things get calm, you start imagining problems, creating resistance, finding ways to sabotage peace because peace feels unfamiliar. You procrastinate right before a breakthrough. You pick fights when love gets too steady. You create busy work to avoid doing the one thing that would actually change your life. But here's the shift. Ease is not laziness. Peace is not weakness. You don't need chaos to feel worthy. You don't need a struggle to feel alive. The people who grow, who truly evolve, aren't the ones who live in constant pain. They're the ones who learn how to let go of it. So take a look at your life right now. Where are you creating struggle because peace feels too quiet? What would happen if you allowed things to be simple? If you allowed yourself to be happy? Being addicted to struggle is still self-sabotage. But freedom starts the moment you believe you're allowed to live without it. Number 7, how you crave validation over victory. Let's talk about something most people never admit out loud. You'd rather look successful than actually be successful. Ouch. That hits deep, doesn't it? Here's why. In today's world, applause is addictive. You post a win on social media. You share a glimpse of your progress. You get a hit of dopamine from the likes, comments, and praise. And it feels amazing. But over time, something dangerous happens. You start chasing validation instead of real results. You want the applause before the transformation. You want people to see you grinding, even if you're not making real moves. You want to be celebrated for the journey, even if you haven't reached the destination. It's like celebrating at the starting line of a marathon. Let's bring in a Stoic voice, Marcus Aurelius, who said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." You see, the Stoics understood this trap centuries ago. When you seek constant external approval, you hand over control of your self-worth. You let others decide if you're enough. You let likes determine if you're valuable. And so, your confidence becomes fragile. One bad comment, one ignored message, one moment where nobody claps, and you crumble. But here's the shift you must make. Real confidence isn't loud. It's rooted. It's built when you can work in silence, when you can delay gratification, when you can resist the need to perform and instead focus on becoming. Because here's the truth. If you constantly seek validation, you'll constantly fear rejection. Let that sink in. The people who rise to greatness, who build lasting confidence, don't rely on others to clap for them. They've already applauded themselves in the dark. So the question is, would you rather be impressive or impactful? Would you rather be liked or legendary? Validation fades. Victory lasts. Choose wisely. Number 8. When your comfort zone becomes a cage. We all want to feel safe. We build routines. We follow predictable patterns. We choose comfort, not chaos. And in many ways, that makes sense. The comfort zone feels like protection. It shields us from failure, from embarrassment, from risk. But here's the catch. That same comfort you cherish might be the very thing killing your potential. It's a cage made of invisible bars. And the worst part? You build it yourself. Let's break this down with a story. There once was an eagle raised among chickens. It learned to scratch the dirt, flap small wings, and accept the ground as its home. It never looked to the sky, never even tried to soar, because it had been told over and over again, you're not meant to fly. Stay where it's safe. That eagle? That's many of us. We grow up in environments that discourage risk, that punish failure, that reward staying in line. We're taught to play small, keep quiet, follow the script. But here's what Epictetus, another wise Stoic, once taught. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. When you cling to comfort, you surrender freedom. You hand over your power. You say, I'll stay here because out there might hurt me. But guess what? Staying here is hurting you too. Here's the truth most people avoid. Comfort zones don't stay comfortable forever. They shrink. They begin to suffocate you. You feel stuck, restless, unfulfilled. Not because life is unfair, but because you've outgrown your current reality and you're too scared to evolve. Let me ask you, when was the last time you did something that terrified you, but changed you? When was the last time you chose growth over safety? When was the last time you said, I'm not meant to stay small? Because here's the reframe. The discomfort you fear, that's the birthplace of confidence. Every time you lean into uncertainty, you build strength. Every time you try, fail, and try again, you build grit. Every time you do something your past self would have avoided, you unlock a future your present self doesn't even believe is possible. You don't need to escape your comfort zone in one giant leap, but you do need to start pushing its walls bit by bit. Break the routine. Challenge the belief. Say yes to the thing that scares you. Because outside the cage is where freedom lives. And confidence? It's waiting there too. Number 9. Choosing courage over control. There's a hidden reason you sabotage your success. It's the same reason you stay stuck in unhealthy relationships. The same reason you hold back your ideas in meetings. The same reason you procrastinate on the very dreams that light you up. You're trying to control everything. Let's get real about this. You micromanage outcomes. You want guarantees before you act. You demand certainty before you commit. And when life doesn't obey, when people don't cooperate, when plans fall apart, you withdraw, you shrink, you self-sabotage. Because if you can't control the result, you'd rather not try. If you don't attempt, you can't fail. If you stay small, you can't be exposed. This is the great illusion of control. It makes you feel safe, but it keeps you stuck. Marcus Aurelius, who led Rome through plague, war, and constant uncertainty, understood this better than anyone. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength." This single insight can transform your entire life. You are not entitled to control outcomes. You're only responsible for showing up with courage. Let me share a story that illustrates this. A young artist spent years perfecting her technique. She studied the masters. She obsessed over every detail. But she refused to share her work. Why? Because she believed if she just worked a little longer, if she made it perfect, then everyone would love it. No criticism. No rejection. Total control. Years passed. The paintings piled up in her studio, unseen, unshared, uncelebrated. In her attempt to protect herself, she denied herself any possibility of success. This is what self-sabotage often looks like. It masquerades as perfectionism, overthinking, and waiting for the right time. But underneath, it's fear of uncertainty. Here's the reframe. Courage is acting without guarantees. Courage is launching the project before it feels ready. Courage is loving again after heartbreak. Courage is standing up for your ideas when everyone else doubts you. When you trade control for courage, you stop living in the imaginary safety of maybe someday. You start living in the real freedom of right now. Remember this, you can either have control or growth. Not both. Growth requires risk. It requires vulnerability. It requires stepping into the unknown without a backup plan. And ironically, the more you practice this, the stronger you get. Each time you choose courage, your confidence expands. Each time you show up without certainty, your resilience grows. Each time you trust yourself to handle whatever comes, you become unstoppable. So ask yourself, where are you still clinging to control? What would happen if you let go? What would your life look like if you chose courage instead? That's the door to the next level of your success. And you hold the key. Why you sabotage your own success. So let's bring it all together. You've seen now, self-sabotage doesn't come from weakness. It comes from fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of success itself. It's not that you can't succeed. It's that a part of you is terrified of what happens if you do. But the truth is this. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not destined to stay stuck. You are wired to protect yourself, and that wiring can be rewired. We explored the hidden habits of self-sabotage, the need for external validation, the addiction to perfection, the deep roots of imposter syndrome, and the comfort of control. We turned to the wisdom of the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, who showed us that real power isn't about controlling the world, but mastering our own responses. They reminded us that it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Epictetus, that means every fear, every hesitation, every inner critic can be met with a deeper awareness, a stronger mindset, and more intentional action. Here's the empowering part. Self-sabotage is not a final sentence. It's a signal that you're stepping into territory that matters, a sign that growth is right around the corner. And now, you have the tools to meet it head-on: radical self-honesty, emotional responsibility, courage over control, and above all, commitment to your vision, even when it's uncomfortable. So the next time you feel yourself pulling back, remember this moment. Remember that you're not your past patterns. You are the conscious choice you make now. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real you, awake, aware, and brave enough to show up. Now, take the first step. Whatever that thing is you've been holding back, start. Move. Create. Speak. And if this video spoke to you, if it hit a nerve, opened a door, or gave you clarity, subscribe, like, and share this with someone who needs it. We're building a community of doers, seekers, and mindset warriors, and we want you in it. You're not here by accident. You're here because you're ready. Let's go.